everyone. Good evening, distinguished speaker and dear participants. Welcome back to the second day of our workshop, compiling the impact of unveiling Indian CSR framework. So I hope you all had a productive and insightful first day. So we are in today session. We are going to cover remaining part where we left yesterday. So by the end of this workshop, I'm confident that you will feel more confident and understanding of CSR. So, without further ado, let's jump into the today's session with the enthusiasm and the thrust for the knowledge. So, thank you for all for being here. Let's make the second day of our workshop a valuable and memorable experience. Now, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rishabh. Good evening, everybody, to the second day of our workshop. Uh, Let us start with our presentation for the second day. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Sure. So let's continue with the discussion of section 135. In the last class, we had discussed in detail a brief history and a detailed discussion had been held on the relevant provisions of section 135 of the Companies Act and the CSR rules 2014 as framed by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, along with some of the notifications and circulars issued by Ministry of Corporate Affairs from time to time. Now, in the last lecture, where we had started our discussion, let's quickly recap where we had left that 135. In the 135 section, especially subsection 3, it has been recommended, it has been provided under the law that the CSR committee will frame a CSR policy and that policy will indicate the activities which shall be undertaken by the company, which have been broadly defined under Schedule 7th of the Companies Act 2013. Now, our today's lecture will start from the analysis of section Schedule 7th of the Companies Act, and of course, we will be covering the remaining sections which we have left in the Companies Act section 135 and some of the emerging trends and futures in the data-driven technology system of India or abroad also. Let us start our discussion on Schedule 7th. So the Act clearly mentions that the corporates are advised to pick up their activities which are specifically defined under Schedule 7th of the Companies Act 2013. Now, let us be very clear that the CSR policy can differ from company to company, or the companies are advised to make their unique CSR policy. But to have a standardized mechanism or uniformity in the functioning of Indian corporate system towards the CSR procedures, Schedule 7th has been enumerated in the Companies Act 2013. Just for your knowledge, Companies Act 2013 has 470 sections and 7 schedules. The 7th schedule itself defines the activities which may be included by the companies in their CSR policy. This Schedule 7th gives the highlights the basic framework regarding a guidance for the companies by where the companies can pick up the areas in which the CSR policy can be drafted or the CSR activities can be initiated by the companies falling under the threshold limit. Now, these activities includes the activities relating to the hunger eradication, poverty, malnutrition, promoting healthcare, or including preventive healthcare, sanitation, malnutrition की अगर हम बात करें, hunger eradication programs can be. One thing is very clear. Here the word has been mentioned activity, but in the last lecture also we had discussed that it is not a one-time activity. Rather, the corporates are advised to have a multi-year project or to include the CSR as a program in their activity. So that this is not a one-time activity that you can just go and give a donation or charity. This will not be considered as a CSR. Rather, CSR focuses on the ongoing projects or multi-year projects, which may be defined as current year plus at least next 3 financial years. Right? Now, these activities may be It also includes the activities of donation to contribution to Swachh Bharat Kosh. Now, what we had discussed, where many people gets confused, if one-time activity is not allowed in CSR, why donation to Swachh Bharat Kosh has been included? We had discussed in the last class, if you are failing to spend the CSR quantity, then we had discussed in the last class that you can actually, in case of failure, just have the look on this slide which we have discussed yesterday. If you are failing to spend the amount, if you are failing to start a project, then you must invest the funds which are prescribed under schedule 7th, PM care fund, clean Ganga fund, Swachh Bharat Kosh. So in that line, in the schedule 7th, this has been mentioned that you can invest the CSR, or you can park your CSR funds in the Swachh Bharat Kosh. Next is you can have a CSR policy of promoting education, be it old age education, girl child education, orphanage education, any kind of education, including special education, vocational skills, which actually have a skill-based training courses. Some companies under their CSR initiatives provides skill-based courses, which helps the society to get employments, including specially able children, women, differentially able child, or differentially able people to earn their livelihood. Promoting gender equality, male, female gender equality, gender sensitization plans are being made by the companies under their CSR projects to promote women, to empower women, be it their education, be it their employment, setting up homes for orphanages, for old people, for women, hostels, daycare centers, old age homes. You can make any, this is not a one-time activity that you just opened up an old age home and just you left the CSR. No, your duty will be to adopt that old age home for the upcoming years. You will be taking care of the basic expenditures or the day-to-day affairs of the behind the running of the old age home or daycare center, or whatsoever activity you are initiating. In nutshell, what we are trying to say is these activities are not a one-time activity. Rather, these activities are a type of a project or multi-year program. Continuing further, ensuring environment sustainability, ecological balance, protecting fauna, animals and plants, agroforestry conservation, natural resources conservation, soil and water, clean Ganga fund. Again, this is a fund where you can park your funds, like Swachh Bharat Kosh, clean Ganga fund. Next is you can promote your natural heritage. If we talk about the old forts are there, say for example Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar, or whatsoever. If you are into the project of renovations of that old heritage sites of India, you are promoting the culture of India. That is accepted in the Schedule 7th as a CSR activity. Restructuring of building, restoration of historical sites, not just a commercial building, not your residential property. It is, we are talking about the buildings having some historic importance to India, some relevance with the national heritage of India. So if you are protecting the national heritage sites, you are being treated as a conducting of CSR activity. You can also park your funds for the benefits of armed veterans, widows, war widows, CAPFs, CPMFs, veterans, that is for army personals, defense personals, and the related personals. Next is you are giving the training to promote, training to whom? The admiring sports persons, to promote rural sports, national sports like kabaddi, kho, which have some national importance to your country. Paralympic or Olympic sports. Paralympic means for differentially abled people, the sports having national or international recognition. You are giving training to them at concessional rates or in free of cost. That will be considered as a CSR program. You can contribute your funds to the PM relief funds, PM cares fund, which is maintained by the ministry, that is central government. It says you can contribute your funds for the, and in the incubation projects, you can contribute to incubators. These are those entities or persons, whether natural or entities, who have some relation with the research and development activities in the field of science, technology, medicine, engineering. Next is we can also contribute our funds to public funded universities, IITs, IIMs, DBTs, DATs. I hope you know these words: Ministry of Ayurveda, Ministry of Science and Technologies, Ministry of Ayush, Ministry of Unani and Homeopathy, DRDO, that is Defense Research Development Organizations. These are the organizations in India having having some national importance. They have a dedicated aim in the development, whether scientific or economic development of the country. You can contribute directly or indirectly, and we can treat that contribution in your CSR projects. Rural development programs. Rural development programs are one of the most common feature which the Indian corporates are adopting as a CSR project. What we can do is various big corporates, they adopt a village, and adoption of village means you will take care of the whole electricity or whole education system. You are adopting a village or set of villages, and you are treating it as your CSR program, in which you will be taking care of the food, nutrition, education, livelihood, generation of employment. So various corporates in India are inclined to the rural development projects as their CSR program. This is a very common feature in India. Next is slum area development. If we talk about, say, for example, Maharashtra or Mumbai. Mumbai is the biggest slum in the world. Dharavi, if you have heard the name of the locality, it is the biggest slum of the world, not even India. First number or second number. It is the biggest slum of the world. So the corporates can adopt that particular slum area. They can develop by starting from its cleanliness, then basic education, free education, uh, health and sanitation programs to be conducted in that slum area. So this can be one of the project which the corporates are advised as in terms of Schedule 7. Next is disaster management, relief or rehabilitation funds or reconstruction activities. The corporates can do so. So this is not the exhaustive list. I hope you know the difference between exhaustive and advisory or inclusive list. This is not an exclusive or exhaustive list. Rather, this is an indicative list where where the ministry or the lawmakers are trying to emphasize your focus on the broader picture. Rather, in the upcoming slide, I will be coming up with a ministry MCA's clarification that the corporates are advised to take the Schedule 7 activity in the broadest manner. If we are talking, say for example, what do you mean by broadest manner? If we talk about, just say for example, promotion of education. Now, promotion of education means what? Is it primary education? Is it higher education? Old age education? Disabled people education? It can be taken as anything and everything which the corporates can think upon. It can be anything. So the corporates are advised to take the theme from Schedule 7 and have the not just the literal meaning or narrow meaning, but the corporates are advised to have the most liberal and widest possible interpretation. This is the circular of MC, which I will be highlighting in the upcoming slide. So, in short, what we are trying to say that the Schedule 7 activities which may be included by the companies in their CSR policy can have the broadest meaning, widest possible meaning for the corporates or for the benefit of people in general. So this is all about our Schedule 7, which is actually defined under Companies Act, that in what areas you can actually spend your CSR funding. This is the basic analysis of Schedule 7. Now, some few points which are either mentioned under Section 135 or CSR Rules 2014, which we were discussing yesterday. Now, specific inclusions and exclusions from the CSR definition. In the last class, we had covered the basic essence of CSR. We know the general meaning of CSR. What is CSR? Any kind of activity which has a direct or indirect impact on the society. Now, what is the definition which is actually defined, which is actually given by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, is defined under Rule 1, Rule 2, Sub Rule 1, Clause D of the CSR Rules 2014, drafted by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now, MCA says that the CSR means the activities undertaken by the company in pursuance of their Section 135 statutory obligation, which we all know. But the MCA is trying to highlight some of the specific exclusions from the definition of CSR, that the CSR will not include the following. That means if you are doing the following activities, we will not be taking it as a CSR activity. If you want to conduct these activities, you are free to do it. Rest of the, for rest of your operations, but this will not be counted in the 2% of average net profits calculation under Section 135. You can do it after once you fulfill the CSR provisions under Section 135. Now, what are these activities which have been specifically excluded from the definition of CSR? First is, if you are doing any activity in the normal course of business, if you are doing a main business of a particular product or service, and if you are actually doing the same work in your CSR activity, that will not be counted. Say, for example, if we talk about a food industry, say, for example, Haldiram Bhujia. If it says that my CSR project is to distribute sweets and namkeen across India, that will not be treated as a CSR project, because it is somewhere or the other your main object. If you are even distributing the free samples, that is a brand promotion. So the intention is very clear that if you are conducting the normal course of business activities, the intention is very clear that it is a brand promotion. It is a sales promotion activity. Even if you are distributing the samples, free samples or nominal rate samples, we will not be considering it as a CSR activity because it has some relevance with your business profits. So if you are in a food industry, do something. Don't distribute food items to the public and call it as a CSR activity. So any activity in the normal course of business will not be permitted under CSR funds, CSR provisions. But there was one exception, keeping in mind the COVID situation. However, now this provision is irrelevant because just look at this exception where the main object of a business was considered as a CSR activity. Because there was some emergency situation, we all can't forget what was COVID-19. It came from March 20 for the purpose of 3 years, that is 2021, 2021, 21-22, and 22-23. Those companies who are in the medical line, those companies who are into the research and development, who were finding out the ways to introduce a vaccine, medicines to cure from COVID. So the ministry had allowed them ki if they are doing such R&D, we will treat those activities in the fundings. But that was just for the time's sake. Now we have already entered 2024. These 3 years have been already passed. So this exception is not now relevant in your life. Second is any activity which you can undertake outside India. Now just focus on what we had discussed in the last class, that all the activities, just look at section 135 subsection 5 proviso. We had discussed that the company shall give preference to the local areas where it operates. Local areas means where you operate, means where your factory is there, where your main business of production and manufacturing is being done. But what is the main area? Limit of the main area is restricted to, we can just see it is restricted to India. Say, for example, talking about an MNC, say, for example, we are talking about Reliance Industries, whose registered office might be in Maharashtra or Mumbai, but they have pan India working. Just take an example of Amazon India. It is an online shopping website having the place of business across India. So what is the local area? Entire India. So they can have the CSR projects on the pan-India basis. We will consider it under section 135. But These corporates, if they are trying to have some CSR activities outside India, the Indian government, the Indian law will not accept it under Section 135. If you want to do it, if you are so big-hearted, do it at your own, but it will not be treated as a compliance of 135. The law is very clear: serve your nation first. It is a clear-cut demarcation that the Indian government has imposed. You are doing any CSR activity, free activities outside India, we will not be taking under 135. But there is again one exception where the activities which are conducted outside India will also be considered as a CSR activity. There is only one exception. The exception is the activities for the training of Indian sports personnel for representing them in any national or international level. Say, for example, you are giving to training to some of the athletes to represent India in Olympics. Say, for example, even if the training camp you have conducted in Malaysia, Singapore, America, we don't care. You are an Indian company. You are giving the training to the Indian personals who are going to represent your nation at the Olympic level, national level, international level. That CSR activity, even if it is outside India, that will be considered under CSR because it is for the benefit of our nation at the international level. So that is only and only one exception where you are doing some activity outside India, and that will also be treated as a CSR activity because it is related with Indian people. Next is again coming to the clause 3. These all are exceptions. Third exception is any direct contribution, any indirect contribution. What is indirect contribution? You are transferring your funds to your subsidiary. You are giving your loans to your directors, and they are finally eventually giving that funds to the political party. Say for example BJP, Congress, AAP, or whatever. You are giving political party contributions that is specifically prohibited in the sense you can do so if they are complying with some other sections of Companies Act. Actually section 182 defines it, but that will not be treated as a CSR activity, any direct or indirect political party contribution. Next is any activity which is benefiting the employees of your own company. You are just giving uh, concessional rate meals to your employees and calling it as a CSR activity. No, that will not be covered. If you are having an activity, serve that activity for the nation. Only benefiting your own employees will not serve any purpose of social responsibility. Simple. Next is uh, activities supported by the companies on sponsorship basis for deriving marketing benefits for its products or service. You are giving a sponsor, you are giving simple a sponsorship. Say for example, in any event, sports event, you are Reliance Industries and you are having a brand promotion activity over there. You are giving sponsorship as a charity and as a CSR funding, and you are asking the sports, say for example, Broadcasting Affairs Ministry, ki just display my advertisement. So that is a clear-cut case of sponsorship. We give sponsorship to for your funding as a part of your funding to conduct your activity or sport or whatever, and you do my brand promotion. This is just an advertisement. So giving sponsorship for any cause whatsoever, if you are giving sponsorship for any cause whatsoever, we will not treat it as a CSR activity. That is just a business activity. That is advertising activity. Next is if you are doing any activity for fulfilling the social obligation under any law. What is this? A very basic example. Say for example, if I am going to set up a factory in a local area where a normal population resides, a decent population resides, decent number of population reside. So the environment laws, say for example, environment protection law, air pollution control board, water pollution control board, and all the environment laws says that for if you are cutting 100 trees, you will plant 100 trees in any other local areas. If you are setting up a factory, you will do these and these works. So if I am actually planting a tree because of my legal responsibility, I can't name it as a CSR activity. The environment laws actually focuses on these affairs, right? So planting of a tree as a statutory obligation under environment law will not be treated as a CSR activity under the Companies Act. Simple. So far, so okay. So far, so okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are certain exclusions and inclusion, of course, from the CSR purview. Next is CSR implementation under Rule 4 of the CSR Rules 2014. Now, the CSR projects will be implemented by the company in what type of manner, or how the companies will actually implement the CSR activities or CSR projects. So Rule 4 clearly defines how you are going to implement it. The board shall ensure that the CSR activities or CSR projects are taken by either the company itself, that is, you have crossed your threshold limit, establish a separate CSR department. Like in your organization, you have law department, legal department, secretarial department, finance department, marketing, HR. Set up another department, that is CSR department or CSR and ethics department, and all the decisions will be taken through the department. Of course, above the department, there will be CSR committee. Above the CSR committee, there will be the board of directors. But the regular functioning of the CSR activities will be discharged by the CSR department. If you are that much capable, if you are not, then the second option, either you can create your own CSR department within the company, or you can also go through section 8 company you are reading in this in the vertical manner. Either you can create your own CSR department. If not, you can tie up with these three types of entities, that is any other section 8 company. What is a section 8 company? Non-profit organizations whose work is to promote these types of activities. So say for example, my CSR I am willingly want to adopt a CSR activity of education. So I can join hands with the Section 8 companies who are actually related to education sector or who are actually doing something in the education sector. I can tie up with them and we can plan some CSR projects in the field of education. So, as per law, if we are dealing with the law, as per law, there are three types of NPOs or NGOs, what we call it as non-profit organizations. The non-profit organizations are three. First is Section 8 company under Companies Act, or we have the trust, that is registered public trust under Indian Trust Act, or we can have a registered society under Society Registration Act. These are only the three types of NPOs in India. So the Ministry of Corporate Affairs clearly defines you can either establish your own CSR department. If you are not doing so, you can join hands with some other departments. Now, what is this? This Section 8 company or registered public trust or registered society, these can have either two implications. Either you just find, I am talking about the highlighted one, you just find out an NPO which has already been established for at least 3 years and which has nothing to do with your company, and they are actually doing these activities for the last 3 years. So you can have a partnership, you can tie up your hands with these types of companies, Section 8 or uh, trust or society, who are actually doing who are actually promoting these types of activities for the last 3 years. You can tie up with them and you can collaborate with them and help them. Of course, you will contribute also and you will help also in your CSR projects. First thing. Second thing is this clause. The company can either set up their own CSR department, which we had discussed under the first clause. And in the second clause, these three types of organization, that is a Section 8 company or a trust or society, can also be established separately by the company itself. Say, for example, X Limited, I am having the CSR obligation. The first thing is the X Limited can establish their own CSR department within the organization. First option. Second option, I can join hands with any of the NPO, Section 8, trust or society who have been established for last 3 years. Second option. Third option, I, being the company itself, can also establish, say, for example, a Section 8 company as my wholly owned subsidiary under my promoter group, right? We can also establish a Section 8 company or a trust or a society by ourselves singly. Or say, for example, we have two companies. Let's assume X Limited and Y Limited. Both have to do CSR working. So they both can together form a Section 8 company having two members, having n number of members from X and Y Limited group, or a trust or society in collaboration with another company, and we can promote another company, float another company, Section 8 company, and we can do our CSR projects together. Collaborative activities are allowed. Or next thing is Section 8 company or trust or society established by the central government or state government. You can simply ask them to do the CSR workings on your behalf. You will just have to contribute the CSR funding. So these are the 3 points. That is, these NPOs can be established by the company either on your own or in collaboration with another company who is also supposed to do the CSR funding, or these types of NPOs established by the central government or any public trust society or Section 8 company having a track record of 3 years. These are three different types of combination. You can do your CSR activities indirectly through these organizations as well. Normally, all the big corporates establish their own CSR Section 8 company. Say, for example, if we talk about Reliance Industries or the entire Reliance group, they all crosses the threshold limit. They all have to do the CSR projects. So they have established a Section 8 company named as Reliance Foundation. So what Reliance Industries is doing, it has established a Section 8 company on its own. And all the Reliance Group funding, CSR fundings, transfers to the CSR Reliance Foundation, and all the CSR activities are controlled through CSR Foundation. Of course, it is under the same promoter group of Ambani family. Next is, so to conclude, either you can establish your own CSR department, you can go for any of the three types of NPOs, either by yourself, by other companies, in collaboration with other companies, or established by central government, or any other Section 8 company or trust or society years track record, or any entity which is established under an act of parliament, that is any statutory corporation. If there is a statutory body having some NPO or NGO status, you can join hands with that organization and conclude your CSR projects. So these are the manner of implementation of your CSR projects or programs which you are supposed to legally do. This is one of the important points. Now, coming to the right column, I had not discussed this right column. This is pending. Now, just see this color. Green color has been intentionally made. The first point what we had discussed is, till right now we were reading this slide in the vertical manner. We read this point, we read this point. Now we are reading this slide in the horizontal manner. Now we are talking about, say for example, the company established its own CSR department. We had not created any Section 8 company. We had not tied up with some other company or Section 8 NPO, whatever. We had established like finance accounts, finance department, law department as a CSR department as well, who will look into the affairs of the CSR administration of our company. So if we are establishing a separate department, there will be departmental expenses. There will be administrative overheads, administrative expenses, the expenses for running the department. If we will hire the professionals also, employees also, rent expenses also, proportionate basis, there will be some expenses. Now, these expenses are known as administrative overhead because you are yourself running your own department. You will have to be expenses to run that particular department within the organization. So these expenses are permissible only up to 5% of the total expenditure for the financial year. Here we are talking about CSR expenditure. Say, for example, we had discussed what is the CSR expenditure 2% of average 3 years profit. Say, for example, 2% of average net 3 years profits comes to 1 crore. Say, for example. So, out of the 1 crore, 5%, only and only 5%, that is 5 lakh rupees, is permitted for your organization expenses. So what we are trying to say, if 1 crore minus 5 lakh is there, at least 95 lakh rupees amount you need to spend in the actual CSR funding. You can't just say that you had segregated the funds of 1 crore and made the administrative expenses of 80 lakhs and you just invested 20 lakhs for CSR. This is not allowed. Out of the CSR legal obligation, only 5% of the expenses are permissible for your own expenditure. If assuming that you are having your own CSR department, you need to give the salary to the department people and other expenses, club all the expenses, and that shall not be more than 5%. So the intention of law is very clear. At least 95% of your social total obligation, 95% of the total obligation shall be actually being spent in the CSR project. You cannot just declare that we did a spending of 50%, rest 50% was our expenses. Not allowed. Only 5% will be there. Now, I had just given you an example. Say, for example, if the 3 years average net profits 2%, that is the total CSR obligation for your company is 8 lakh rupees. Say, for example. So out of the 8 lakh, maximum 5%, that is 40 lakh, 40,000, can be your administrative overhead. So we need to ensure that the balance 8 lakh minus 40,000, 7 lakh 60,000, 7.6 lakhs. You need to ensure that you spend actually 7.6 lakhs in the real CSR benefit activities. So this is the meaning of the CSR administrative overheads of 5%. This will only be there if the company actually operates through its own CSR department. The administrative overheads will be of the company. If we are setting up a department, we will have the administrative overheads. So that will only be come under the first proviso, first clause. If you are joining hands with some other people, you will not be establishing your separate department. You will not be bearing the administrative overheads. So I hope this example makes it very clear that what is the meaning of 5% administrative overhead. Shall we move further? Rishabh, can we move?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is rule 4 regarding the CSR implementation. Now, rule 4, sub-rule 4 of the MCA rules defines collaborative CSR projects. What is collaborative? As the name indicates, the projects which the companies conduct in collaboration with other companies. So can two or more companies join hands together for a single project? The answer is yes. Say, for example, your company is also interested in a CSR project of education. My company is also interested in CSR in education field. So let us join hands. We can have a partnership in establishing a proper education setup. But there is only one condition, two conditions rather, I can say. You will bring your 2% separately. I will bring my 2% separately. Clubbing is not allowed. Segregation of funds will be there. If the segregation of funds will be there, the CSR committee of both the companies will be different. You will have your CSR committee having your board of directors. I will have my CSR committee. And the reporting in the annual report of respective companies will be different. In the entire project, what your company did, what was your CSR committee constitution, what was my contribution, what was my CSR. So In nutshell, can two or more companies collaborate for a single CSR project? The answer is yes. But they will bring their own CSR fund, 2%, 2% each, and they will have the separate CSR policies. They will have the separate CSR reporting and the annual CSR report. That is the annual report of the company. So this is the nutshell, that we can collaborate with other companies, but in such a manner that the CSR committees are in the position to report separately on the projects, and not only report separately, spend separately. You will bring your 2%, I will bring my 2%, and we will do something very big out of it. But the funds will be different. The CSR committees will be different for both the companies. The CSR reporting will be different for both the companies in their respective annual report. So this is the provisions relating to the collaborative CSR. Now, let us have a discussion on a very interesting topic. Section 8 company. I hope by this time you all know what is a Section 8 company. A Section 8 company is not for profit company established under the Companies Act. Now, my company is a Section 8 company. My work is not earning profit. My work is itself what? Serving the nation, serving the society. From day one, I am having the social responsibility because I am a Section 8 company. Does that mean that the CSR provisions are not applicable on Section 8 company? The answer is no. Section 8 company shall have to comply with the provisions of Section 135, that is CSR. Let us have an example. Say, for example, your organization, just look into the example. I had just given the example only in the PPT. Say, for example, we are having a Section 8 company. We all are the directors and promoters. And our Section 8 company is into the field of education, promotion of education. Right? We are already doing CSR activity from day one because we are NPO. We are there for societal benefits. It's okay. Say, for example, my company, of course, my company don't earn profit. My company don't have the turnover. We have income and expenditure as per NPO accounts, but we don't call it as a turnover. But we have the net profit, net worth, sorry. You have the corpus, you have the net worth. Say, for example, your NPO has a net worth of 500 crores, which is the threshold limit under Section 135. So it clearly means that on your Section 8 company, the CSR provisions are made applicable. So will the company plead that I am already into CSR activities, my incorporation is for CSR? So why to implement Section 135 separately? No. The Section 8 company will additionally comply with Section 135. So does the company needs to additionally comply with Section 135? The answer is yes, according to CSR rules. And that too, the company needs to comply with the CSR provisions, and that too in any field as per Schedule 7 other than the main object. That means your main object is promotion of education. We had given you the list of Schedule 7. Skip the education part and conduct any other CSR activity in terms of Section 135, like any other profit company is also doing. So first things first, we are not going to exempt any Section 8 company from doing CSR activities. They will have to do CSR activities. And second thing, they will not conduct the CSR activities in the main object. If your Section 8 main objective is education, leave education aside. Do it in your main object and pick up another activity from Schedule 7 and treat it as your CSR project, like every other company is doing. So it is a myth that Section 8 companies are already into NPOs or they are doing social services. The answer is no. They are doing whatsoever they want to do, but we will additionally make them comply with Section 135. This is a very important concept. So yes, the Section 8 company will also comply with Section 135, and that too in another field, except your main object. This is one of the very clear ministerial clarification. Of course, it is mentioned in the rule also, and the ministry had further clarified it also, that Section 8 company has to do with a CSR policy project. Now, next is sub rule 3 of rule 8, impact assessment. That was not earlier introduced, initially introduced in 2014, but with the subsequent amendments, this rule has been amended. Now, in this amended provision or recently introduced provision, what is there? That we accept the fact that you are doing CSR activities, but what is the real benefit of the CSR to the society? How the government and the stakeholder believes you, that you said that I spent 1 crore on the training of personnel or any CSR activity. How can we assume it? Just because you say it and you just show the P&L account having a CSR expenditure doesn't mean that you had actually given something to the society. Now, as we had already discussed, CSR is not a one-time activity. Rather, the company should focus on a multi-year projects, three-year project, 2 years project. Now, what we are trying to say is, if you are having such a big vision, the ministry is saying have a vision on CSR. Don't just donate one piece of goods and say that we are done with CSR. No, have a vision, have a project, have a multi-year project. Now we are talking that the corporates are doing CSR in the form of multi-year projects. What is the real benefit of the project? Right? So to assess the impact of your CSR projects on the society, Rule 8, Sub Rule 3 has been introduced. What you are doing, let us check. Let the government check what you are doing. So every company having an average CSR obligation of 10 crores or more in the last 3 years. We are not talking about small CSR funds, small CSR spending companies. But if you are spending an average of, there is a question, I guess, Rishabh. Rishabh,
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah, I
yes, sir.
can.
There is
What
a
is the
question,
logic
sir.
behind Section 8 company to comply with CSR? See, the Section 8 companies are into the affairs of promoting one particular type of activity. See, the intention of the law is very clear that the promoters, the directors, with due respect to Section 8 companies, they are normally malfunctioned. Rather, the intention is very clear of the lawmaker that the Section 8 companies are actually incorporated to divert the funds to give benefits to a particular set of society. That is a real fact. With due respect to the lawmakers and to the promoters of the Section 8 company. Right? And if by any chance you are at that level of a net worth of 500 crores, then it is very easy. If you are actually saying that I am a Section 8 company, what is there to reject the law's intention to conduct one more CSR project? You are yourself claiming that you are a Section 8 company. Then if you are doing n number of activities, do one more project according to the provisions under Section 135. That is the logic of giving this, not giving this special benefit to the Section 8 company. Right? So now coming back to the impact assessment. Impact assessment is only required for those companies having an average 10 crore rupees CSR obligation in the last 3 years. Say, for example, if you are doing 5 crore rupees CSR every year, you are exempt. If you are doing big projects, such a big project, say, for example, in the last 3 years, you came up with the projects of, say, for example, 10 crores, 15 crores, 12 crores. That means an average A plus B plus C by 3 is 10 crores or more. That means you are giving a big amount to the society. So the lawmaker is very clear that let us check the assessment. Let us assess the impact of your such a big so-called projects. So those entities having a CSR obligation of 10 crores in the last 3 years shall undertake impact assessment through an independent agency, which is registered under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They will assess, they will audit. Simple. Impact assessment means audit of your CSR projects. Of which project, of each and every project, the answer is no. If you are, this is very important, if your average spending is 10 crore rupees for the last 3 years, then the agency, the auditor will come from MCA, and they will have an impact assessment. It can be done by the independent agency uh, of only those projects in which your CSR outlay is 1 crore or more. So this is very interesting or tricky thing. First of all, on what companies will these provisions be applicable? On those companies who have the CSR average obligation of 10 crores in the last 3 years. This is applicability. First thing. Second thing, on what projects this impact assessment or these audits will be conducted? On those projects having the outlay of 1 crore or more. छोटा मोटा एक्सपेंडिचर कर दिया, छोटे मोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स चल रहे हैं, हम आपको आपके ऊपर उसका इंपैक्ट चेक नहीं करेंगे. पर जो बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, सो द स्टेक होल्डर नीड्स टू नो कि इतना बड़ा पैसा सीएसआर के नाम पे कहां जा रहा है, उसका इंपैक्ट असेस होगा. For and let us complete it. All those projects having the outlay of 1 crores and more, and which have completed at least 1 year. You had started a project whose outlay is, whose spending is more than 1 crore, and you had completed 1 year. Normally audit is for yearly basis, so you had actually what I will assess if your project has started just 3 months back. What I will check. So for my checking, we will ensure that you had spent 1 crore rupees and you had done working on the CSR for the last 1 year. That means now we can suppose that you will come up with some good result for the society. You will generate some impact. Let us check the impact. Whether whatsoever you are claiming, whether the board of directors, whatsoever they are claiming, actually has an impact on the society or not. Earlier, this provision was not there, but now the MCA has introduced this particular provision. So for all the projects with more than 1 crore rupees, 1 crore or more rupees outlay, and for which you have completed 1 year, we will be having an audit known as impact assessment. This impact assessment report will be the part of director's report under the annual report of CSR. The annual report of CSR is itself the part of board report, and the impact assessment report is itself the part of annual report on CSR. So the board of directors need to conduct the CSR impact assessment for all the projects, big projects with more than 1 crore rupees, and which you are doing for the last 1 year. Is it clear? Is it clear to everybody? Now, as we discussed, that will be placed by the board of directors as an annual report to the CSR. Now, in this particular section, sub-rule, one more sub-rule has been there, that for the impact assessment, you will hire an agency. They will have an impact assessment of project evaluation expenditure. They will charge a fees for your audit. That fees will also be an expenditure for your CSR. Now, this CSR expenditure on the impact assessment shall not exceed 2% of the CSR expenditure. Say, for example, your overall CSR expenditure is 1 crore. So 2% of 1 crore, 2 lakh rupees, or 50 lakh, whichever is higher. This higher limit is given subject to the maximum of the higher of the 50 lakh rupees. Now, what is the intention is, if you are coming up with impact assessment, we know that the lawmakers know that you will hire independent agency. There will be some expenditure. So we are permitting the expenditure of 2% on your impact assessment study as well. See, if you have noticed, the lawmaker are giving you certain relaxation. Just look to the rule 4. When the CSR expenditure was there, because you are having your own expenditure, own CSR department, the lawmaker gave you 5%. That if your CSR obligation is, say, for example, 100 rupees, spend 5% on your in-house CSR department running expenses. Spend 95 rupees. Additionally, now if you are conducting an impact assessment, say, for example, 2% of that 100 rupees, 5 rupees you already give to you can charge in your P&L for regular overhead expenses for your CSR department, right? 2 rupees more, we allow you conduct your CSR audit. We accept that you will have a charge of impact assessment, treat 2 rupees as well. So 100 minus 5 rupees on your administrative expenses, 2 rupees for your impact assessment. We will give you the grant. But ensure now that remaining 93 rupees, 100 minus 5 rupee minus 2 rupee. 100 minus 7 rupee, at least 93 rupees will be contributed for the benefit of society. Ensure this provision. यू कांट से कि 100 में से 20 रुपए खर्च हो गए, बाकी 80 रुपए का बेनिफिट गया. नहीं, 100 रुपीज में से 93 रुपीज will be giving directly to the benefit of society. We had given you a moderate liberalization, we are liberal to the moderate level of 7% technically. 5% on your administrative overheads, 2% additionally for big companies to conduct their impact assessment. If your company is such a big company, if you are having a small company, the impact assessment will not be applicable to you. But ensure the remaining 93% can be utilized only for the welfare of public. Is this clear? I am talking about this particular 5% from the 100 rupees CSR obligation. Spend 5% on your department. Then spend 2% again to your auditor. But ensure remaining 93% to your CSR main activity. So what the ministry is doing? The ministry is actually, the lawmaker is actually making a ceiling cap on your budgets. You can't just say that out of 100 rupees, 40 rupees were expended in my own expenditure and audit and all. And I just pass 60 rupees benefit to the society. No. Out of 193 rupees will be actually passed to the benefit of society. Is this clear to everybody? Can we move
Sir,
forward?
sir, there are so many queries, sir.
Okay. Let's take again Apan. That's let's take the queries, Rishabh.
Yes, sir. Sir, there is a queries by Sir Dr. Advocate A.R. Falje.
Sure.
What is the logic behind Section 8? Company have to compile Section
Well,
135
we had
CSR.
already discussed, I guess. We had already discussed the fact, right, that whatsoever you are doing as a Section 8 company main object, that is something different. But Section 135 activities will be additionally complied in order to ensure that the organization, whether you are profit making, whether you're non-profit, the lawmaker has nothing to do with it. Do some CSR according to the standards made in India as per Section 135, not in your own tune, which you are doing in your regular business activities. That we had already discussed, I guess. Next.
Sir, one more query. How CSR amount shall be calculated for Section 8? Company as they do not have profit. PL clarify.
No.
Please clarify.
The Section 8 company don't have profit, but they make income and expenditure. They have the income and expenditure account. We don't call it as P&L account, but we call it as receipts and payments and income and expenditure account. And the net profit which you calculate for the normal companies, the Section 8 companies calculate it as surplus or deficiency. Just look into the P&L, income and expenditure of the Section 8 company, right? NPOs. We have the receipts. We don't have trading and P&L, but we have the receipts and payments. We have the income and expenditure, and we actually calculate the surplus and deficiency. That surplus will be taken as the base amount for calculating the profits, the base amount for calculating the 2%. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Another query, sir. Section 8 subclause 3 can be misused.
Section 8, subclause 3, what it is, can we recall it? I'm not specifically recalling it right now. What is Section 8, subsection 3? Or rather, we can discuss it at the last because I will have to go through section 8, subsection 3. Or if uh, the query maker is there, they can just brief what is subsection 3.
So no more queries, sir. You
Okay, we
can
will take
proceed.
section 8, subsection 3 at the last. We will take it because I will have to again go through subsection 3. Now, next is MCA clarifications, which MCA had actually clarified through journal circulars at the respective point of time that the CSR activity, one of the circular is the circular of 2014, June 2014, that in the interpretation of Schedule 7, the activities which they are mentioned are broad based, right? That means, in nutshell, what the MCA is saying that treat the activities which we have given in Schedule 7 in the broadest possible manner or in the widest possible interpretation as possible. You should not narrow yourself to the words which are given, sorry, which are being given under Schedule 7. Rather, you should treat it as a broadest interpretation under Schedule 7. Just have an example what the MCA wants to say. Say, for example, just look at the first point or second point, any point, promoting education. Now, MCA is saying interpret in the most liberal manner. Now, education means what? Education means school education, college education, primary education. Education might be, I came up with a project that I will have a literacy camp on road safety for next 3 years. Is it okay? The answer is yes. Because in the widest possible manner, education can be anything which contributes to the mental development of the society. Don't treat it as key. I will give the school education or college education only. I am giving a skill training to anybody which will help them in taking the employment. That is education. The answer is yes. So this is the clarity which the MCA has given. Ki treat all the activities under Schedule 7 in the widest possible manner. So apply your mind, be very judicial, be very rational, and in the widest possible manner, you can interpret the activities of CSR. First thing. Second thing is very clear that we had already discussed that you were supposed to conduct an expenditure because of the law. Don't give it the name of CSR. I had given you an example. Say, for example, you are coming up with a factory, right? Now, the Environment Protection Act says that if you are cutting 2 trees, you will have to plant 2 trees. Simple. Now, I am planting 2 trees because of the statutory obligation. Will you call it as a CSR activity? The answer is no. Don't blame the CSR or don't give your statutory obligations the name of CSR. You can't hide your statutory obligations in the name of CSR activities. Keep your statutory obligations separate and conduct the CSR activities differently. This is the one of the clarification given under the statutory MCA circular. See, you were supposed to do that activity as per labor laws, land acquisition laws, environment protection laws, and you are calling it as CSR activity. The answer is no. You can't treat your social statutory obligations as your social responsibility. This is very much clear. So that was all for the legal matters enumerated under section 135, CSR rules and schedule 7. Now, for the ending of this session, we will just discuss in brief. We will just take 10 more minutes. That my final aspect of CSR workshop was to discuss that CSR is not more a mechanical work, or that is not something which the board of directors or the CSR department will do in the general meetings or board meetings. Now, the role of technology has overpassed the thought process of the corporates. We are, by the way, to break the ice, I'm just saying that we are done with the legal procedures. Now, we are, by this time, is there any doubt? I think some of the queries there. How do the Anjali Sharma, let one query. How do the CSR provisions under Section 8 differ from those under Section 135? See, Section 8 company has the main objects under Section 8. Section 8 company, whatsoever they are doing, see, just try and understand the mechanism of how the Section 8 company works. They works on the normal manner as any other company. What is prohibited under Section 8 is where just simply asking whether the Section 8 company don't earn profit. The answer is no. They earn profit. There is no prohibition. You are taking the Section 8 company in a very wrong manner. There is no prohibition of earning of profit by Section 8 company. We don't call it as profit, we call it as a surplus. Now what is prohibited by the law, that you are not allowed to distribute the profit or surplus, whatsoever you call it, among the shareholders. If the surplus is generated by the Section 8 company, it is again reinvested in the Section 8 company for the project, for the main object of your society. First thing. Now, coming to your query, how the CSR provisions under Section 8 are different from 135. Section 8 has no CSR provision. Section 8 defines how you will work. Section 8 is a very exhaustive, very elaborative section having 13 or 15 subsections. Section 8 is the entire procedure of how the Section 8 company will perform in the normal course of business. And if the surplus is generated, if your net profit, if your net worth is there, you can additionally comply with Section 135 like any other company is doing. Because you are coming up with all the projects, you can come up with more projects in the systematic manner, in the standardized manner under Section 135. This is the whole point of Section 8 and Section 135. The lawmaker is very clear, keep the two sections different. It has nothing to do with each other. Is this clear?
Sir, there are two questions, sir.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
So the question by Anjali Sharma, sir. How do CSR provision under
Yeah, that we
Section
have
8 of
taken,
the...
that we have taken, that we have taken.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. And another question is, sir, what's your viewpoint on the correlation of CSR with ESG?
ESG that I was supposed to take in the session, but the session would have gone much far if we have taken what is ESG for the benefit of all the stakeholders right now. Environmental, social, and this governance framework. Now, ESG and CSR are actually correlated, Rupa, Miss Rupa. Now, ESG is a wider concept. ESG is actually a wider concept if you go into the detailing of this ESG framework. Rather, ESG is actually recognized in the international purview. Now, if we talk about any international standard, each and every country, see, say for if we are talking about accounts, say for example, if you are interested in accounts, one concept is IFRS, one concept is Ind AS. Now, what is the difference between two? IFRS is also standards, Ind AS is also standard, but there is a difference. IFRS is actually a framework which has been globally recognized. And in tune with IFRS, all the countries are making their accounting standards, like we made, like the MCA and the ICAI made Ind AS. Same applicable to the ESG and CSR framework. ESG is a bigger picture, which is actually focused on the people, planet, profit model. People, that is your society. Environment is your environment only. People is your people. Planet is your environment only, which we had discussed as a three-piece model of Carroll in the last workshop, in the last day of our workshop. So to conclude, what is the correlation? Both have the same theme. ESG is an international framework. All the countries are complying with the ESG frameworks in their own respective manner. The CSR provisions which the law has enforced in India reflects the theme of ESG only, right? But if we want to talk about ESG, we will have to go to the international affairs. We will discuss ESG at length if we are discussing the uh, UN Sustainable Development Goals, climate change actions, and whatnot given by UN and all the international bodies and international standards. Right? So this is the difference or correlation we can say between ESG and CSR. Now, the last segment of our presentation is the emerging trends. The concluding remarks is the emerging trends and future pathway for CSR. Now, digital transformation, or we can call it as the CSR in digital era. Now everything is digital. We have come a way long to recognize the impact of AI. Chat GPT is just one example of AI. AI is not simply restricted to Chat GPT. AI is much more than that. Digital transformation is a basic phenomena which the world is recognizing right now. The data driven economy is the new economic characteristic. All the economies, whether national or international, are working on the data driven strategies because extracting the data, data mining, data extraction, data evaluation, data compilation is just a matter of seconds right now because of the use of IT, then use of AI as a matter of fact. So, what is digital transformation and organizational shift? Because of the adoption and integration of the digital tools and techniques for fundamentally changing the scenario. Actually, it is the data driven technologies or the AI or the data driven transformation is actually a fundamental rethinking for the corporates. How we need to think, how we need to plan is actually the need of the hour because everything is available at one click. Whatsoever you will think, the directors or shareholder will think in one day, the AI will do it in 1 minute. So why can't you take the use of AI and make your company more sustainable, more profitable, and incline into the CSR activity in a more effective manner? So to conclude, this particular slide, I had given some points that the digital transformation helps the corporates in the manner that the companies can have a strategic integration of technology into what? Into the vision, into the mission, into the business operations. You can use your technology, you can use your AI and data driven methods in your not only CSR, but in the entire framework of your business operations. You can easily manage the cultural change. It is more relevant for the multinational corporations. It is more useful for the corporations having diverse human resource. Managing the human resource is the most technical task of the organization. Next is your more impressive or enhanced stakeholders experience. Stakeholder includes all the communities, government, everybody. How you are communicating with them, how you are dealing with them. So you can use the technology in the much proper manner to explain to your shareholders or stakeholders your CSR vision. What is your vision? We are your stakeholders, but we are not identifying what is your vision, how we will cooperate with you. Make us understand your vision. Make us understand your CSR policies, or for that matter, any policy, be it your finance, marketing, HR policy as well. Of course, the AI is more efficient. The use of AI will make you more efficient in your operations, whether technical or CSR. The data driven decision making will be there. The decision making, the data mining, and ultimately the decision making can be enhanced substantially by using the data driven technology, the use of AI, the use of technology. This is actually the importance of AIs and digital transformation. So as we had discussed in the last slide, what is the role of technology? Technology includes AI in enhancing your CSR practices. Your activities, your policies will be more transparent, more clear. There will be no ambiguity because the plans are actually being aided with the technological tools, AI tools. You can be held accountable. The data analysis for impact assessment. Now, we had just discussed what is impact assessment, how you are taking the impact assessment. Right now, the auditors will be there. But How to plan your CSR? See, I am coming up with a 100 crore rupees project, and that project will be for the next 3 years. What if whatsoever I am thinking as a company is actually not executed, or not, the society is not get benefited of out of that 100 crore? What we will do after 3 years? So impact assessment is okay, but what about, you can take the help of data, you can take the help of AI and technology in the pre-impact assessment. Say for example, you are coming up with a project of, say for example, 10 crores. You can conduct the pre-investment audit, which we call it as due diligence. If the law people are there, we call a concept of due diligence. What is the difference between audit and due diligence? Audit is post operation, due diligence is pre operation. So AI can give you the structure of how your project will work. What will be the real impact of your spending on this area for the next 3 months, 3 years, 30 years? So use AI as a due diligence tool to measure the upcoming impact of your CSR assessment. Of course, some more points are there that you will be more efficient and innovative in your CSR projects, not only CSR, in any kind of project. The AI, you can take the help of AI, machine learning, and various other options which are available right now in terms of technology. You can plan, you can visibly see of how you will conduct an education policy, how you will, say for example, you adopt a village as your CSR project, how that village will visible or look after 5 years, if you're coming up with the construction projects for the slum area development. You can take the help of AI to visualize the future before conducting the CSR spending affairs. You can engage with the stakeholders, whatsoever are your stakeholders, whether present or potential. You can communicate with them. You can take the feedback from them. You can have a sense of responsibility towards all the stakeholders with the help of data, with the help of AI, with the help of technology. Of course, remote working, you can work at any point of time, any place of time, 24/7. You can spread education and awareness about your programs to the relevant stakeholders, government, and anybody and everybody. Accessibility, inclusivity. Inclusivity is related to stakeholder engagement. You can include all stakeholders who are more or less affected by your projects or programs. You can connect with various corporates, NGOs. We talked about NGOs, Section 8 company, trust, society. We can plan international collaborations for conducting CSR operations. We can have a global reach in the eyes of, say for example, partners. Global, we can have global partners. We can have the global beneficiaries, for that matter, to conclude our CSR projects. So right now, actually the world is focusing on AI, focusing on the data driven strategies. So there are the concept of role of technology in CSR, the data driven CSR technology, the use of AI in visualizing the future impact of your CSR project. And rest of the list is inclusive. There can be more role of technology. This list is inclusive. This is not a fixed 9 points. So this is a highlight of how the technology can be used in the CSR. And last is, what is the future of CSR? The future of CSR is data-driven CSR. Data-driven CSR, the use of AI in the CSR, the use of predictions in the CSR, not that horoscopic predictions, the virtual, augmented. We talk about AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality. The concepts of AR and VR are actually used globally in the planning of CSR projects. And this is altogether a new horizon which needs to be seen by India as well. So what is the future of CSR is the data-driven CSR, the technology-driven CSR. The CSR is not confined to the boardrooms now, at the mercy of the board. Rather, it has crossed its way far beyond what was expected 5 years before. Now, future includes the integrated sustainable development, sustainability, that in the overall business strategies, you can plan the CSR framework in tune with your overall vision. We talk about, you all must have gone through strategic management. What is the first lecture of strategic management? Vision, mission, objectives. So when you are actually developing a sense of vision, include CSR in your vision. Include the data driven CSR technology in your vision. Integrate that vision into the business operations so that the overall sustainability of the, not only of the business, but of the economy can be achieved. Not only the Indian economy, we are talking about the global economy. Of course, the technology can be used as a tool to innovate your CSR projects. AI technology is there, blockchain technology is there, the entire data analytics is there waiting for you. It is up to you as a stakeholder. You can learn these technological tools and use it for the benefit of society. The stakeholders engagement, as we had discussed in the last slide, you can come up with the data driven strategies in order to uh, combine all your stakeholder or engage all your stakeholders, whether it is government, whether they are international bodies, whether they are your creditors or whatever. You can plan your, whether they are NGOs who are the support system, what we are talking about, section 8 company, trust, society, who are your collaborative partners. We can use the technology to engage with all stakeholders to come up with their feedback and plan a CSR in a much effective manner, because they will give you an outside perspective of how your CSR project will actually work in the society. We can discuss about climate action, and this is very exhaustive inclusive list. The list is continued till much more points: social justice, equity, impact assessment, supply chain transparency, responsible AI and data ethics and digital ethics, partnerships and collaborations, which we have discussed in the last slides. This list is actually exhaustive, and we are not going to discuss one by one. But yes, why this slide has been introduced presented in front of you is to give you an insight and to open up or enlighten your minds in a direction that we are actually into the digital era. We are actually into the era where the technology has been changed substantially. So use that digital era, that AI, that blockchain technology, just to name a few of the technologies, to the best of your planning into your CSR visions. You can use your vision in a more effective manner in order to implement the CSR. So the future of CSR is very dynamic, very responsible to the global change challenges, with a very greater effect than ever before to the sustainability, holistic sustainability. Holistic means development of overall environment, ethical business practices, and an really meaningful societal impact. So here, this is continued for the next few years, that how the technology will be adopted in all the business operations and in the CSR planning. So this is all from my side. Thank you for such a patient audience. Now, Rishabh, we can take the final Q&A session as I had concluded my 2 days workshop.
If anyone have any queries, kindly write in the chat box. Any queries?
Should I share again? Is there any query?
Sir, I
Sir,
think no one have. No one have. Sir, I think no one have any queries.
I can.
So
I
thank you
think
so much, sir.
Rishabh, as an admin, we can just now unmute everybody. If anyone has any query, we will take it in person.
Please, team, unmute everyone. Those who have any query, you can ask.
I think there is Anjali Sharma. There she has one query that she's saying. I mentioned it.
Sir, I have a query.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah, I'm Advocate Sanjot Kamath from Goa.
Oh,
Uh,
hello, sir.
yeah. So this CSR activity is very important in for all the corporates now.
Yes, sir.
So by how we can approach the corporates for the CSR activity?
How we means who are we here? How
We
we
me,
mean?
me as a person, me as a person. So if I have some CSR activity in mind to be implemented by a corporate, like by using AI technology, like you told that
Hmm.
village 5 years down the line and all those things. So if I have an
See,
idea, then how can I tap the corporates?
now the thing is, we are touching another dimension. See, whatsoever we have discussed in these 2 days was not
Hmm.
actually confined to the individuals like us. What CSR
Yes,
needs to be, how CSR needs to be implemented by the companies. Now we are talking
yes.
apart from Companies Act. We are talking at a healthy discussion. Now, what is there is collaborative partnerships. Now, there are agencies which we call it as implementation agencies or implementing agencies. People
Okay.
like us who have CSR visions, or if we believe that we have some kind of projects in our mind, or we can assist the companies in their CSR projects. There is a
Mhm.
concept, you can Google it, which is known as implementation partners.
Okay, okay.
There is a
Informative.
portal, csr.gov.in. At that
Okay.
portal, you as an, of course, we as a natural person, if we think and we will be called at as a implement agency, no. We will have a track record. We will need to have an NGO or Section 8 company or trust. We must have done some activities before, if you really want to have corporate, you must have a track record. These track record NGOs can be taken as implementation agencies. See,
Okay,
think
okay.
about if we have a plan, think at the other side. The corporates also want to spend, but they don't have knowledge. Don't you believe that the
Hmm.
corporates will need consultants who will
Perfectly. Yeah,
assist
right,
them
right.
in the CSR implementation? So we,
Yes.
being the NPOs registered under MCA, under the CSR government portal as implementation agency, and we will be
Okay.
collaborating with the corporates.
You are associated with implementation agency.
Yes, I mean, if you have an idea or if you believe you have some ideas to assist the corporates, you can be a promoter and director of an implementation agency. You can open your Section 8 company. You can establish with a
Hmm.
group, a trust, a society. Three options
Hmm.
are there: Section 8 company, trust, or society. And you can approach with a good record of 2 3 years. You can approach MCA to register your firm as an implementation agency who will be collaborating with the companies in their CSR projects.
Okay, okay, perfect.
There is a provision because this was a 2 day workshop. I can't touch each and every concept.
Sir,
So
the
that was the
workshop
invitation.
was very informative.
Thank
Very
you so
informative.
much.
Yeah.
Because now there are so many aspects that we can drag this workshop for 7 days
Sir,
also.
yeah, sir, can you share your mobile number?
Yeah, sure. Team, Legal Vidya team can share my. I can just, if I hope you are in the group as well, WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I am in that WhatsApp group.
Yeah, this is my contact number and my details were
Okay.
shared in the PPT first slide. I will be sharing the PPT in the group to our
Perfect,
admin.
perfect, 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 perfect.
Yeah.
Sir,
Any other
there is a
query?
question. Yes, sir. There's a question
Yeah.
by uh, wait, Anjali Sharma, sir.
Yeah,
What
sure.
are the reporting and disclosure requirements for each section?
What are?
What are the reporting and
Okay,
disclosure
this is there in
requirements
the chat
for each
box.
section?
For each section means which section, each of the which section? I'm not, please elaborate, or you can unmute yourself, Anjali Sharma, if you're there. Anjali
Sir,
Sharma,
section 8 and 135.
what is the reporting requirement and disclosure requirement under section 8 and 135?
Yes, sir.
Are you talking about how the section 8 company will report their CSR activities? Is this the question? If I'm not wrong, yes, sir. Okay. Actually the question by Anjali is how the CSR activities will be reported by Section 8 companies. See, think yourself that you are a normal company. How you are reporting as a normal company? You are conducting your main objects as per your memorandum, object clause. Just the fact that you are earning profit, you are reporting your activities in the director's report for all the activities, and you are having a separate annexure in the director's report known as CSR reporting. Now you are section 8 company, everything is same. Section 8 company is not earning profit, and that I had also clarified. The section 8 company also earns profit. What is prohibited by law is they will not treat the profit for the distribution as dividend. They will reinvest the profits into the section 8 company itself. Now everything is same for section 8 company. Just try and understand. Section 8 company will also make their trading P&L account in the name of receipts and expenditure and receipts and payments and income and expenditure. They will also prepare their balance sheet. They will also make their director's report in which each of their functioning, say for example, we are a section 8 company in the education field. This is our main object. This is not our CSR. So we will make our income and expenditure. We will make our balance sheet. We will make our director's report, and we will report the matters of education, which is our main object. Additionally, the lawmaker says if you are such a big Section 8 company, you can have an additional CSR project as well. And how other companies are conducting their Section 8, their CSR activity, you also come up with some CSR activity and report it in the CSR report of your director's report. Do whatever you want to with your Section 8 company and additionally comply with Section 135. Right, Miss Anjali Sharma? Okay.
Anyone have any queries now? So I think no one have any queries. So thank you so much, sir, for such a nice explanation of CSR and the deep analysis of CSR.
Thank
Now
you.
I would like to call our founder Sakshi Sharma ma'am to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rishabh. And am I audible?
Yeah. Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
Sakshi.
Hi, sir. I hope you're
Hello.
doing fine.
Fine. How are you?
I'm good, sir. So, sir, thank you so much for these wonderful 2 days. It was an awesome session. That's the only word that I've got. And as Sanjot sir already said, and everyone in the chat box, as you can see, have said that it was
Oh,
an amazing session, and
okay.
everyone learned something new. So,
That I
thank
need to read once again now.
definitely,
Yeah.
sir. And everyone here is thanking you. So I can be their voice for once and say thank you so much, sir, for joining this session and for teaching everyone on this important topic, I'd say. Thank you once again, sir. And I really look forward to having more sessions with you. It was a great session.
Anytime.
Thank
Anytime. For deal legal with
One one suggestion. Legal
yeah.
Vidya team arrange some sessions on ESG. That what part of social responsibility told no international.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
CSR is such a big concept. If we will be going into the details of international CSR frameworks, in which
Hmm.
ESG is one of the parts, we will have to conduct a 1 month workshop.
Perfect. Right. So we will conduct it in parts, sir. We'll conduct it in parts.
We will plan in the later stage. The team will be there.
Exactly.
We
Yeah,
are
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much
Team Legal Vidya,
from
Sakshi
everybody. Yeah,
Shubham,
yeah.
and
Thank
everybody for giving me this opportunity to throw some light what so I have in front of some people regarding CSR. So thank you. And yes, I guess some of the chats includes the sharing of PPT. I will be sharing right now on the WhatsApp group. There is nothing which can be which can't be shared. So it's okay. It was a nice session. Thank you. And I
Thank you,
think
sir.
I should leave now.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, and looking forward to such session, sir.
Anytime.
Thank you,
Anytime.
sir.
Chalo.